Appreciate your viewing and liking the video. At our own gathering, I witnessed my wife leaning into another man, her hand on his chest, laughing as if I was invisible mere feet away. When I tried to speak with her privately, she confronted me directly and said, "If you have an issue with how I behave, the exit is just over there." Consequently, I immediately left, picked up my keys, and departed without a glance back. Unbeknownst to me then, she desired this separation. She had been orchestrating it for months. We'd been married for 7 years. Jennifer was a competent family law attorney, always several steps ahead in every discussion. I worked in tech sales, earning a decent income, but she managed our finances, legal matters, and other essentials. I placed my trust in her completely. That Friday, she insisted we host this dinner party for her colleagues, emphasizing its importance for networking. Despite my exhaustion, I wished to call it off, but the food, wine, invitations had already been arranged. I took a shower, changed clothes, played the role of a doting spouse. By 8 p.m., our living room was filled with lawyers and consultants I hadn't encountered before. Jennifer moved amidst the crowd in a red dress that was unfamiliar to me, her demeanor distinctively different, almost performative. I stood by the makeshift bar, sipping on a drink, observing her interact with people. Then he arrived. A tall man, around mid-40s, dressed elegantly, offering a firm handshake. Jennifer presented him as Derek, mentioning he was helping her with a new venture. The way she looked at him made my stomach churn. She touched his arm when she laughed, leaned towards him while speaking, and never once glanced my way to check if I was observing. Derek wasn't a lawyer. He claimed to be a consultant, specializing in corporate investigations. His answers were vague when I sought specifics. He had an uncanny ability to observe people as if taking mental notes. Throughout the night, he and Jennifer stood close together, conversing in hushed tones while others socialized. I attempted to join their discussion twice. Twice, Jennifer shifted the conversation or departed to replenish drinks. I grabbed another beer, conversed with an attorney about the Mariners, attempted to dismiss an unsettling sensation. However, whenever I glanced up, there they were, his hand on her lower back, and she would gently brush his shoulder. These minor gestures lingered just enough for me to observe them. Around 9:30, a guest approached me, a woman in her 50s, another attorney. She seemed uneasy, whispered, "Is your wife and that man? Are they collaborating?" I affirmed and said it was a project. She nodded slowly, remained silent, but her facial expression suggested she doubted my explanation as well. I remained stationary, observed, began documenting every touch, every murmur, every instance Jennifer overlooked my presence in our home. By 10, most guests had departed. While unloading the dishwasher, I heard Jennifer's playful laugh echoing from the living room, a familiar sound she used to make when we first dated. Venturing out, I discovered them seated on the couch, so close their legs brushed together. Derek had his arm looped around the back of the couch behind her. She was demonstrating something on her phone, her face turned towards his shoulder. I remained motionless, observing for a full minute before Jennifer raised her eyes to me. She didn't retreat, merely offered a smile and remarked. Derek was sharing with me some intriguing details about a case he worked in Portland. Fascinating stuff. I asked Derek if he needed help hailing an Uber. He chuckled, claiming he was fine, adding that he'd stay for another drink if it was all right. Jennifer responded before I could, agreeing it was all right. She refilled his glass with wine from the bottle purchased for our anniversary last month. The final guest departed around 10:15, leaving only the three of us. Seated in a distant armchair, I pretended to scroll through my phone while truly observing them instead. Derek narrated a tale about his surveillance tasks in Miami. Jennifer attentively listened, her hand on Derek's knee. It was then that realization struck me. Surveillance work, corporate investigations. I looked at him, and he returned my gaze, focusing on me instead of Jennifer. At that moment, I should have trusted my instincts, asked for clarifications. However, I didn't. I remained seated as my wife flirted with Derek in our living room, my anger growing with each touch, each laugh. Eventually, I rose, informed Derek it was late and he should leave. Jennifer's expression instantly changed. The smile vanished. She put down her wine glass and fixed me with eyes that had never chilled me before. She stated, "He's fine, calm down." I wasn't soothed. I repeated my request for Derek to depart. He rose, as cool and composed as ever, thanked us for our hospitality. Yet Jennifer also stood, escorted him to the door. I remained in the living room while they conversed in the hallway, her voice hushed. I distinctly heard her instruct, "Text me when you return home, we'll discuss the next moves tomorrow. No work on Monday, let's discuss the next steps." I approached them, observing her grip his arm, noting his nod before he departed. She shut the door, took a deep breath, and turned to confront me. This is when our argument commenced. She immediately attacked, inquiring, "What in the world were you doing?" You humiliated me in front of a colleague. I questioned her actions throughout the night, accused her of being all over him, and informed her that everyone at the gathering had noticed my absence. She chuckled coldly, said I was being overdramatic, asserting that Derek was merely a professional acquaintance and that I was making mountains out of molehills. I retorted by stating that professional acquaintances don't behave in such a manner. They don't display physical affection or gaze at each other the way she had been gazing at him. Her face hardened. Crossed her arms, she asserted, "You're being possessive and insecure. It's this attitude that causes our disagreements." My voice turned harsh, informed her about my 7-year struggle while she climbed the career ladder, only to find her seated almost intimately with another man in our home. She remained unfazed, remained unapologetic. Instead, she moved closer, met my gaze, and uttered words that would alter everything. "If you have issues with how I behave, the door is always there." The room grew quiet. My heart raced. She didn't recant, just stood firm, arms crossed, seeming to encourage me to depart. So I complied. I said, "Fine," seeking an escape anyway, retrieved my keys from the counter and exited. Heard the door lock behind me before I even reached my vehicle. Drove to a motel alongside I-5, checked in, and sat on the bed until dawn. My phone buzzed persistently with messages from Jennifer. Initially upset, "Seriously? Such immature behavior." Then worried, "Where are you? We need to discuss as adults." I remained silent. By morning, I realized I wouldn't return soon, not just yet. I contacted my friend Mike, asking if I could stay at his place for a few days. He agreed, "Come over." On Monday morning, I went back to the house while Jennifer was at work. I packed 2 bags, took my laptop, essential documents. While loading my car, I recalled our shared iCloud account. We'd set it up years ago for family photos and shared calendars. The old MacBook we shared still synced everything automatically. We had family sharing active. Calendars, photos, backups. I rarely used it. I don't think she remembered I could still access it. In my car, I opened my laptop. Upon opening messages, everything synced automatically. Her work email was still signed in on the shared laptop, and there it was. The conversation history with Derek was longer than anticipated, stretching back 3 months. However, it wasn't romantic. It was clinical and professional. Upon first glance at the oldest message, Jennifer had asked, "I need someone who can record behavior, ideally in a social setting where others are present. Can you do that?" To which Derek replied, "That's my specialty. Send me the details and timeline." My hands trembled as I continued reading. It appeared that he was hired for an upcoming event, tasked with flirting with her, stirring up tension between us. The instructions were meticulous. Touch her arm when laughing, sit close on the couch after 10 minutes, ensure observation, and then the bombshell. A message 3 days before the party, "Friday night is the setup. If he responds aggressively or leaves, we'll have enough evidence for the complaint." In my car outside our home, I found myself reading the proof of a meticulously planned setup that had taken months to execute. In my kitchen, I reviewed what I'd synced earlier, continuing to scroll through the revelations. Discovered emails between Jennifer and her divorce attorney revealed their planning since January. She aimed to end the marriage, yet sought all assets: the house, savings, my retirement fund. The state of Washington allows no-fault divorces, but she was constructing a case for more, accusing me of being controlling, emotionally unstable, even potentially aggressive. Derek wasn't just a consultant. He specialized in documenting spousal behavior and was hired to provoke reactions. Jennifer paid him $5,000 to appear at that party and flirt with her in front of me. The strategy was straightforward. If I reacted negatively, yelling, physical violence, or causing a scene, she'd have witnesses. If I left, she'd allege abandonment. Either way, she emerged victorious. At the kitchen table, my head spun. 7 years of marriage. Little did I know, for the past 4 months, she had been strategizing to ruin me both legally and financially, leaving no stone unturned, except one she no longer worried about long ago. Nearly gave her the response she desired. I departed, exited the house, offering her the response she anticipated. She never fathomed I'd seek proof. She believed I'd simply react. However, I took an unexpected action. I forwarded every single message to myself, each email, and screenshotted all receipts. I also captured a screenshot of the payment to Derek. Then I closed my laptop, left everything untouched, and departed. I made a beeline for a lawyer. Not just any attorney, but Seattle's finest divorce lawyer. A name Jennifer had once mentioned as someone you wouldn't want to encounter in court: Richard Chun. I strolled into his office without an appointment, informed the receptionist of an emergency, and was asked to wait for 30 minutes. When Chun finally met me, I presented my phone with all the screenshots. He read silently for 5 minutes, then looked up at me and said, "Your spouse is Jennifer Morrison, a family law attorney." I confirmed, and he almost smiled. 2 months ago, she attempted to employ me, but I declined due to being overloaded with work. It appears her error now. He immediately accepted my case, outlined our strategy, and we initiated proceedings first. That very Wednesday, while Jennifer was occupied in court with another matter, a process server delivered her divorce documents to her. However, it wasn't just a standard divorce filing. We also submitted a motion for exclusive use of the marital home. We provided evidence of hostile behavior created through documented instances of staged infidelity. Every screenshot message receipt was included as proof, showing that she had hired someone to fabricate allegations against me. Chun remarked that she desired games. Let's demonstrate the consequences when one plays recklessly. On that day, Jennifer called me 17 times and texted after I didn't answer. Her message read, "We need to discuss. This is absurd. You are causing unnecessary destruction over a misunderstanding." The divorce process took 3 months, and Jennifer put up a strong fight. She contended that the messages were misconstrued in meaning. One, Derek was merely a consultant to me. I unlawfully hacked her phone. However, Chun informed me this didn't breach state law. He considered it admissible. Her own attorney recommended settling. Mediation took place in late September, the first time I saw her since leaving. She appeared slimmer, tired, and older. We faced each other in a conference room. Her lawyer attempted negotiation, stating Jennifer was ready to divide everything equally if I concealed details. Chun looked at me. Jennifer couldn't meet my gaze. I refused, insisted on a full forensic accounting of the $5,000 she paid Derek. I wanted this documented in the settlement and stated her staging an affair for manipulating divorce proceedings should be noted. Her lawyer objected, stating it would harm her reputation within the legal community. Chun countered. She should have considered that before hiring an investigator to frame her spouse. We left. 2 weeks on, Jennifer consented to all terms. The house was mine. She claimed half of the savings, and everything else was evenly divided. However, the settlement contained a provision. Details of her actions would remain confidential unless she breached any conditions. By November, I had moved back into the house. She settled in an urban apartment. The divorce became final by December. 6 months post-divorce, I encountered Derek at a coffee shop near my office. I considered leaving, but he signaled peacefully, saying, "I'm not here to stir trouble. I just wanted to speak." Remaining seated, he looked uneasy. "I perform this job because it's what people hire me for, typically surveillance or background checks, what your ex-wife hired me to do." He paused, then admitted, "It went beyond the line. I didn't disclose anything." Elaborating further, he confessed, "I've been doing this for 15 years, never felt worse about a job." "She portrayed you as controlling and potentially harmful." I kept quiet. She claimed evidence was necessary for self-protection. I initially trusted her, but that evening at your house, it seemed you were not as she depicted. You appeared to be a man grappling with the dissolution of your marriage. I apologize for my part in that ordeal. However, you took $5,000 to ensnare my wife within our shared home. My sentiments towards you are indifferent to any remorse you may now feel." You acknowledged my perspective, stood up, and departed, stating, "Fair enough." I remained, finishing my coffee, contemplating Jennifer, the 7 years spent together, the night she hinted that the door was open for me to leave. She wished for my departure. It was necessary for her. Yet I would walk away on my terms, not hers. This slight difference proved significant. I paid for my coffee and departed, returning home to a house now mine. I prepared dinner, watched the game, retired early. Occasionally, the most powerful retribution is not retaliation. It's declining participation in the game they have set up for you.